ついてきて。
See, so the Chernobog must be the thing that's causing the blizzard, I guess.
にしたいわ。くだらない。
Yay, I got it.
高いだけのことはあるな。この部屋気に入ったぜ。もう寒気は引いたぞ。いろいろ迷惑かけてごめんな。今までなら今頃とっくに調査や冒険に向かってたはずなのに、ここでお前の言う通り無理はスネージナヤに入ってからいろいろあったし、一番気になるのはやっぱりチョコが何をしよう。その通りだ。今わかってるのはチョコの計画には、でもアリオ社曰くチョコは突然出てきた魔物を討伐しに東へ行っちゃったからしばらくは会えないんだよな。
Well, the question is, like, it's hard to say what the Gnosis exactly do, right? Are they batteries or are they amplifiers? If they're amplifiers, then they might not hold much energy. But if they were batteries, right? Like if the reasons why the Archons wanted them is because they could store excess energy of their element And maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it stores and amplifies energy. So like it makes them stronger, but also like keeps a reserve of power for them so that they can last longer. In which case, it could be that the reason why she wanted it was because she wanted it for the reserve of energy there. But obviously hard to say. We know that they're made up of the second center. So it might just purely be an amplifier. But if it's a store of energy or a converter of energy, turns energy into animo energy, if it turns non-animo energy into animo energy, then it could be that they just want it because it's like, oh well, we have a lot of sources of energy, but no way to convert it, or there's like some energy that we can't use because it's not converted, like the primordial energy. So it could be that the reason why she wants them is just more methods of converting to usable energy. And so the core has always been they just need lots of energy, and the no-seas just might have been a method of them being able to get it.
スネージナや全土の吹雪をここまでひどくするなんて、こうやって考えると助けてくれそうなやつは行こう。窓くらいを離れるとき、徐行の目的に関わる機密なんてそれもそうだな。せっかくグループ
Yeah, there's no harm in asking, right? Like, they would just say no, and be like, oh, okay. But you never know. Like, they might also just be like, okay, well, since it's you, fine, we'll tell you. Because there's always the idea that there's always the possibility that if they tell us the answer, right? If they tell us, there's always the idea that they might convert us to their side if they tell us the reason and we agree with it, right? If they're like, oh, well, actually, if you know what Project Stuza is, you'll understand what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, and you might even decide, you know what, I'm not going to get in the way of that, So there's always that possibility.
一番オイラたちと話をしてくれそうなのは、多分
That they'll just tell us in the hopes that we're going to agree. Now, obviously, we don't agree in the way they've done it, right? We don't think the ends justifies the means. But now that's already, now that the milk has been spilled, as it were, and they have the no-seas, it's like, okay, well, to be fair, some of them were actually taken through normal means, right? Like, Zhongli's was traded as part of a contract. I would say the Electro was taken under duress, right? Like, Yaimiko gave the Scaramouche to save our lives. So I'd say that's kind of fucked up. Same with Signora literally stealing it. But, like, Fontaine gave theirs. Now, again, it was somewhat under duress. They realized that Snezhnaya was after it. So that if they didn't give it up, they would eventually come in conflict with them. So you could argue that just be their ever-present threat of wanting it would just make it too much of a hassle to keep it. But regardless, it was still freely given. And Sumeru as well, technically under duress, because she traded it to get Doctor to stop being such a piece of shit. After he had already done, bad things in Sumeru. So it's like, yeah, so obviously, not great. But, some of them were properly traded away. I think Zhongli is the only one that was actually, maybe done under no duress whatsoever. Although it's hard to say, because we didn't really see the setup of that. So it could have been that they were causing all sorts of shit in Leeway before Zhongli finally agreed on the deal. But at least for Fontaine, while we might say it's somewhat under duress, Snezhnaya never really threatened them at all directly. They didn't go out of their way to cause shit in Fontaine like the shit that Lenny did. was just investigating the Eodix, or no, investigating the courtroom machine thingy, the cardinalise, mechanicalise, or whatever. Yeah, that thing. All he was doing was investigating that. So it's not like he was just trying to sabotage it or whatever. He was just trying to investigate it. So, from what we know, from what I remember, the Fatui didn't really do any. Well, I guess technically, I guess Arlecchino did try to kill Fiorina, right? Or she tried to, and then realized how pathetic Fiorina was, and was like, "Oh, there's no real point in doing this, right?" So it's like she tried to, thinking it would be a tough fight, and then nothing happened. So they're like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess you're not faking it. You really are this incompetent." So anyway, but yeah, so that you could argue that that is a threat. Or actually, no, did she, or maybe she did that to try to get the thing. So it's like, I guess. Although, I mean, to be fair, Nouvelette was the one who made the deal. So I don't know if Fiorina let Nouvelette know. I don't know if Nouvelette was aware of that. So if he wasn't aware, because like obviously Fiorina was like trying to get him to do it, she might have been motivated by the fact that like she was almost killed by Arlecchino and could be killed at any time. So she might have pushed Nouvelette to do it. But I don't think so. Like, I think Nouvelette did this of his own will and was like, you know what? Having something that Snezhnaya wants is just inviting trouble into our country, so let's just give it away to get them to fuck off. Obviously not great, right? It's not a positive negotiation. It was just the ever-present threat of Snezhnaya and their goons had them do this to get them out. I mean, you could say it's like a protection racket to a degree. So, not great, right? But still, freely given. Sumeru, far less so, because we know Doctor was causing shit in Sumeru. He possessed the people. He tried to create a fake god in Sumeru. And I think it was after we beat them that Nihida had the trade, where it's like, yeah, you can have the Snowseas as long as you destroy all your clones. So, I mean, it's also, a decent deal too. It's like, hey, yeah, sure, our country will lose this, and we're gonna just mess up your plans, your personal plans of doing stuff by forcing you to acquiesce to this thing. So, you could argue that Snezhnaya lost some military power because they no longer had all the Doctori clones. But, yeah, either way. It was only really But, I mean, like, it was after Doctori had already done this shit. So, again, it's like, it is somewhat under duress. Because it's like, yes, you're already under attack by their country. And so then you make this deal. It's not like Leeway or Fontaine where they kind of volunteer it mostly mostly before anything happened. But I mean, the things are already done, right? No one in other countries seemed to hold any hold that much antagonistic feeling. So it's like, well, yeah, it's their Gnosis, their life. So like, who are we to say to complain about it? So there's always the idea that Snezhnaya might think, well, they might not have agreed to our methods, but now that we have the Gnosis, we don't need to fuck around in other countries anymore. We can just focus on, doing what we need to do. And so they might be like, well, they might be able to use that as leverage to be like, well, sure, we'll tell you. Because like, at this point, if they really need nothing from other countries, then like their priority is just making sure nothing happens in this country. So if they can get us to help them, or at least not get in their way, then that would be advantageous to them. Because we have gotten in their way for previous plans and things. So the fact that we're here could be dangerous. You could argue that us being here is a veiled threat. Like, yes, we're here. We could get in your way because we've done it before. So, whatever.
確かに。多分、フォンテーヌでのあの一件であったのが。
旅人、バイ
Oh,
モン、
he did?
いるか？
Did they say that? I can't remember if they said that. Like, I mean, it's not crazy to think that because like there was a lot of like abyss shit going on in Conry and stuff, and like the abyss stuff is kind of like Skirk's thing, and I can't remember if they ever mentioned that. Although maybe it was Tartaglia helped when Doctoria was freaking out. So maybe he didn't help during the Rocher parts, but maybe he was helping during Doctoria. I can't remember if they mentioned him.
アリオ
お二人ともこんにちは。医者のルネはよ。こっちに来てから。そうよ。こちらが。
わからない。オイラも自分がな。
普段は人間の患者しか見ないのよね。フェイは大抵一番健康で長生きな人間よりもずっと。でも安心して。私はフェイも診察したことがあるし、犬や猫もたくさん見てきたわ。なんでも。
オイラは人間と変わらないと思うし、多分大丈夫だぞ。
It's an interesting statement to make. You're basically the same as a human. How do you even know that, right? Like, do you even have organs, right? Like, do you go to the bathroom? Like, she eats a lot, right? So if she doesn't pee and poop, then I would not say you're the same as a human, right? Because like if you don't expel your waste, then I would say you're 100% not human, right? You might still need to eat because all things need energy. So it could be that the food that you eat is just being converted directly into energy and then just used to power yourself. It's being like broken down and converted to energy. But it's like a perfect, like every aspect of it is converted and you have no waste, so you don't need to expel it, right? In which case, it's like, well, you're 100% not human because then the inner workings of yourself. But obviously, we haven't heard Paimon say, oh, wait 1 sec, I need to go to the bathroom. However, no one says that. Like, literally no one in this world has ever said that. So it's hard. It's one of those things where it's like, because it's like not usually included in games for the most part. Oh, yeah, so we're going out to save the world. Oh, no, you need to go to the bathroom. Find the nearest bathroom before going off and doing that. So, a lot of games just don't have that type of thing. So it's hard to say if this game doesn't have it. Because it's a game, and who wants to deal with that shit? Or...
オイラとお前は何も違わないよな。それはお前の食べる量が少なすぎるんだろ。もっとおしゃべりすれば。
Yes, that's the thing. It's like they aren't even mentioning the human biological functions. It's like, but yeah, I mean, like, it could be that yes, she does expel her waste, and so she does go to the bathroom on occasion after a big meal and stuff. Oh, vital signs. Okay, so presumably she has a pulse, right? Like one of the most common vital signs to take is a pulse. In fact, Chinese medicine has a lot of doctors, very skilled at being I mean, I don't know how much is like fanciful stories and how much is actually true, but like doctors who can diagnose your issues just from taking your pulse. I don't know how true that is, but obviously, still, regardless. Eastern or Western medicine, the taking of a pulse is still one of the signs where it's like, yep, your heart's doing well, your pulse is normal.
お薬を処方しておくわ。1日か2日、ゆっくり休めばよくなるはずだけど。
Yeah, it's also kind of weird too, because right, like, she floats, right? How is she doing that? Because like, if she's floating, then she's presumably using power to do so. So it could be that like the power reserves that she uses for flying is running low, and while it might not affect her like biological functions, if perhaps perhaps she absorbs like energy from the air, and after absorbing it, she converts it to use for flying. But maybe like the energy she's absorbing is too cold, so it's like freezing in her meridians, or like it's just like it's chilling her insides, as it passes through to be converted and used. Whereas like never really had that. Although I mean, you could argue then wouldn't she have been scorched by the fire energy or something like that? But it's hard to say. It could be because there's like a mix of abyss energy as well as the ice.
もし微熱が長引いたり、体調が良くならないようだったら、
心配なさそうだな。
先生、ありがとな。
So it is kind of weird that they just don't focus on how she is different than a human. Right? Like, I mean, obviously, yes, check the normal human signs, but it's like, we should check the non-human signs too, like energy levels and stuff like that. But then again, to be fair, like this is not a doctor for that. This is a normal human doctor who's trying to use her wealth of medical experience to look at what are common ailments for humans. So, like, expecting her to be able to find a niche condition that is due to her, unique biology is stretching it. So, ideally, we'd want to get some like scans and stuff to like check energy levels and stuff.
気をつけて。医者の言うことを聞いて、ここ2日間は安静にしてろ。
おう、そうするし。
俺も戻る。また医者に連絡したくなったとか、用があればズルネイクの交易所まで。あんたは安域で俺の命を救ってくれた。
Oh yeah, I wanted to check to see if I had if my Shadow Realm outfit, if I can wear it outside of the Shadow Realm.
新しい情報がないか聞いてみよう。
Aw. So it is purely a Shadow Realm outfit. God damn it. I was really hoping that I could wear that permanently. Oh, what the fuck? Interesting. Yeah, like she's on the bed when she sleeps. So clearly, like she has to use, she is using energy. Like if she just naturally floated, she'd be floating while she's asleep. There you go. This way. No, can't knock back. So floating is something she's doing consciously. Well, maybe not consciously, but consciously or subconsciously. But it's something that requires energy. And if it requires energy, oh, is there one of? Oh, yeah. Here's a shop. See if I can get any recipes. Ew, sour cream frosting? Ugh. Why? I thought it was going to be like honey toast or something like that. But it's like, I would understand like whipped cream. I mean, I understand the basic premise, right? Why sour cream? Well, it's because... Oh, do you sell stuff too? It's because... it's a balance, right? So it adds more fatty creaminess to the thing. Because obviously the bread in and of itself is a carbohydrate, but then it's also layered with honey, so it's already going to be super sweet, right? So it's understandable why you'd want something else. That's why like butter would be fine, you know, to add a level. Oh, what the fuck? Huh. What the hell are you doing here? Oh, I see. To treat her, the onset of her abilities, perhaps. See, like, this is a very good example of what I like about the immersion of Genshin. It's just like, she kind of just popped out of nowhere. But she was related to Linnea, so, like, obviously she popped up during... When Linnea was on Banner, she popped up and was part of her... Basically, her character quest. Which is fine, right? But unlike other games, where it's like, okay, cool, we brought this character out, they did their... Wait, where am I going? We brought this character out, they did what they needed to do, and then they, and now they disappear into the mist, never to be seen again. Some gacha games, you know, for us, it's like, oh yeah, like, if we've given this character a setting, you might actually see them in that setting, right? So we kind of told them, we were kind of told that she was, I guess, I mean, I assume she was from this region. I assume we were told that too. But yeah, like we were told she's kind of from this area. She's one of the non-human races from this area. And what happens? Well, she appears. Right? Like, that's cool. And so that, like, that's all you have to do, right? Just like put her here, be like, hey, yeah, let me mention the character. Like she mentioned Linnea, her sister. You know, mentioning her parents, mentioning why she's here. Like you don't have to do much, right? But it's these little touches that just make the world feel. Oh, I'm on the friendship team, not the regular. Is there one of these? Is a. Is this the? Okay, so this is the new domain. Actually, honestly, I need to go to the old domain. Let me tell here real quick. Gotta spend my resin. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people get Odette. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't particularly care for her that much. Let's go to this one. This has the. I don't have very good relics for this one anyway, so no harm in farming it a little bit. Still takes a little while.
呪言直律令、これが海山を滅ぼし。
戻れ。いけるわね。やりなさい。一休みしたいわ。
Yeah, so they're saying that Beta could probably be replaced with Odette, because of how good Yai Miko is in Sandrone teams. Although, to be fair, well, actually, they say that actually the Cryo Traveler could be.
諸行無常。くだらない。一休みしたいわ。
I'm mistaken. 25, yeah. I think I was getting. See, I still think I was getting better times with Navia teams.
呪言律令直。
戻れ。我が名はドワクシンクになり。
よく見ておけ。
ついてきて。さあ。
That was a pretty good rotation. And I was gonna say, oh, this could be good. Yeah, HP percent main stat with flat defense and attack percent. Like, there's no reason for attack percent, right? Attack percent would be fine substats if it was like energy regen or elemental mastery, because then it could have a purpose. Well, although I guess it wouldn't have energy recharge on the substat if it was also a main stat. But still, that's the principle thing. You don't want defense or attack on things that scale with HP percent.
聞きたまえ。ここにて命じ。
炭になるがいい。
一休みしたいわ。くだらない。
Oh, it's longer. Yeah, I'm just lucky sometimes and not some other times. But yeah, so for anything that's like yeah, that's trash. That's trash. That's trash. Basically, yeah. Ooh, I might level it still though, just for the chance of getting attack percent. But even still, like, that's pretty dog shit. It's like it's better than nothing, simply because of its main stat. But otherwise, it is pretty dog shit.
星と深淵を無事今日の星と深
Yeah, so there's new stuff. Wait, what? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there's a... Something I should be doing. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's so fucking annoying. Okay, so I have 10 points for that. What? Wait, what? Oh, I see. Yeah, sure, why not? So I'm just using that now. Yeah, I forgot. I should probably make sure I do that stuff. I think actually no, it's not. There's a limit to how much I can do a day. Wait, what?
この同点も
Yeah, like, I'd like to get Odette, because obviously I've seen really good things about her. But also, simultaneously, I don't really want her. Like, I want her for her utility, but generally playing a game, playing especially a gacha game, just for that is not, it's really not a good thing. You should only get characters you really want, or if, you know, if you really need the utility and have the saved up Primo Gems, sure, right? If you're like, oh, actually, I really need this in my team, it would really synergize well with other characters. Like, I like Sandrone, so I'm fine getting her, right? But, like, I pulled, and I used up all my Primos, and I didn't get her. So I'm just like, ah, shit, you know? I could spend money to get her. But I also don't really, like, I don't really want her. Like, that's the thing, is I don't really... like, she looks cool, right? She's definitely good in Mizuki teams, because Mizuki needs characters that can do off-field elemental application. But anyone would work. So, like, there are other cryo teams, and you can even use the cryo traveler as well. I think they also do off-field. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this isn't the right place. Whoops. It was behind here. Wait, where the fuck is this place then? Oh, this is the Senate, basically, or the... Oh, yeah, the rooster. Yeah, so it's presumably the rooster's one of these little kids. One of these little guys. I mean, not yet. Nope. Seems like not. Yeah, because he always had the pointed ears. That was always the kind of interesting thing. It's like the only characters we knew with pointed ears were very few and far between. It was like, you know, Alice, Flea, and then Layla. And there's always the kind of question of like, well, what are they, right? Like, are they elves? Although it seems like, from what we see, anyone with pointed ears are either Fae or angels. Because, like, we see a lot of pointed ear Fae, but then also Nicole also had pointed ears. So maybe that's what, I mean, that could even be what Fae are, right? It could be that Fae are descendants of the original angels that fell from grace, that eventually became Seelies, but maybe that each one left behind. Like, maybe the reason why they fell from grace is they fell in love with, like, a human. And so each race of Fae is one angel, you know? You know, the child they made with one human then turned into a new race of Fae, right? And so each angel that had a dalliance created their own race. But I don't think they've ever properly discussed that. Well, no, I mean, like, sure, right? The project concerns the future of Snezhnaya, but the problem with what you're doing is, for the future of Snezhnaya, you're having the present suffer. And it's fine if it's like, okay, It's going to be cold. We're going to give you enough. Like, you're going to have to cut back on your energy resources. You're not going to be able to stay super warm 24/7, but we're going to provide you enough so that you don't die. You know, you don't freeze to death during the night, and so that you can, you know, cook and clean when you need to. Right? But no excess energy. Please budget your energy accordingly. Yeah, sure. That's fine, right? It's, you know, a little bit of tightening the belts during this process, but it seems like, you know, you have people who are like literally freezing to death because of these things. So it's like, clearly you don't have the balance right, and you shouldn't be sacrificing the present for a indeterminate future, right? And sacrificing in the sense of, like, not that you can't sacrifice anything, like having a budget for energy is a sacrifice, right? But I mean a literal sacrifice where people are dying because of this program, like. Yeah, because like I saw the water girl who looks like a mermaid. Like, she looks very pretty. I want her. And then the Fae girl, the one that looks like a little fairy, I want her too. And so, like, comparatively, like, I don't really like Odette as much. Like, she seems super useful, and she seems like she has a lot of utility. The hell? She seems like she has a lot of utility. Right? Oh. Oh, interesting. This one's bigger than the middle one. Okay. I thought this was going to be... cool. The snowman? That looks like a chair. It's kind of not related to snowman at all. Oh, wow. Wait, what is that? Where is that going? See, I assume that's what Project Stew is doing. It's creating those lines in the sky. I thought it was maybe going into the palace, but it seems like it's actually slightly behind the palace, where they're converging. It's converging like right there, right above her head, but the palace is over there. So then what the fuck's there? But yeah, so I assume that's what they're getting. Or maybe these are the ley lines of how they're pulling energy, and maybe it's going to go down to some point in the mountain where it's being collected. instant daytime.
恐れ入りますが、招待状または通行証をご提示ください。グルポフでは予約のない面会要請を受け付けておりません。公示されている予約手順にして、どなたをお尋ねでしょうか。どうしていつも手順も知らないくせに大きなことばっかり。一応規則通りに対応しておくか。聞くだけ無駄だろうけどな。伝えますので少々お待ちください。皇子様はご多忙につき、おそらく今はグルポフの中にいらっしゃらないのでしょう。これ以上お待ちいただいても徒労に終わるか。ご友人といえどファデュイ執行官は公務で忙しく、ずっとグルポフの中に留まっているわけではありませんので。
Yeah, that's what I was surprised. Like, they're constantly away. Like, remember, like they were constantly in other locations. In fact, like the fact that Child was even in Nod Cry means he was not, there. And if their land is being buffeted by this monster, this blizzards, and the Tsaritsa has gone to quell it, you would assume that she would take the more combat-oriented harbingers like Child.
この地の規則を守ることはお互いのためにも。お疲れ様です、傀儡様。
こちらのお客さんの相手は私がするわ。無礼な口を叩いたり揉め事を起こしたり。
はい、傀儡様。危な。不機嫌そうに対応しなくてよかった。
そう、それならいいわ。あら？あいつが？いつでもどこでも。でも確かにここはナドくらいよりもちょっと寒いから、慣れるまでに時間がかかる人も多いのよね。
Interesting. Wait, that was a guy? That was a girl.
手配してあげてもいいわよ。
I'm pretty sure that doctor was a woman, right? She's already seen a doctor. He said it's nothing serious. I was pretty sure that was a woman.
それならいいわ。
But obviously a localization
もし後で何
problem.
かあったら連絡しなさい。それ以外に何があるっていうの？ちょうどお茶をしていたらタルタリアずっと待っているのに会えないなんてかわいそうでしょ。仕方なく熱いお茶を置いて、どんななどくらいではしばらく協力もしてたわけだし、あなたをずっと
Well, it's also like
だけど、
she showed up here shortly before we did, right? Like, because remember the previous summer event thing, she would mean she was in Fontaine, and if she left when the event ended and went back to Snezhnaya, which is what she was telling us she was going to do anyway, and she knew that we were eventually going to head to Snezhnaya, she would be expecting that, like, within a week or two of her, within the weeks of her arriving, us showing up would be expected. Aw, I thought she was going to let us in.
でもスネージナやグラードはあの貧乏臭いナシャタウンとは違うわ。もちろんあなたどうしてですって？熱いお茶を犠牲に
Yeah, that's another weird thing, too. Screw you, I want to go inside. Oh, wait, let's unlock this. Okay. So now let's just completely ignore what she said and go inside like we are not allowed to. Let me in. Oh. Dang. Okay, I guess not. Interesting. Cave behind there. Is that how we're going to sneak in?
ついてきて。
Can I get two free? Can I get two portions? Oh, I was having some free food. Okay, I guess not. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why she wasn't able to do this, because there was an internal issue, an actual ailment. And as a combat medic, she's basically more of a surgeon than a general practitioner. So she's able to operate and fix wounds and injuries. But when it comes to actual, like, illness and sickness, that's just not her forte. Which, I mean, is understandable, right? Like, she probably has a general idea of maybe, like, how to diagnose fevers and the more common ailments. Did we meet this guy before? Oh, yeah, I was going to say, cool. I was going to say, like, Anton, that sounds familiar. But yeah, cool. Oh my god, it's the one with the chasm? Jesus Christ, that's a long time ago. I was thinking he was from... Oh wait, no, that was the chasm. Yeah, sorry. I was kind of remembering the area, and it was a cave. And I was like, oh, I remember you from this cave. It said rescue me in this cave. I'm like, oh wait, no, yeah, that cave was the chasm. Duh. See, like, again, right? This just makes the world feel alive. This is something, the chasm was something we did before Sumeru. So this was after Inazuma was released. So this is like 4 years ago, you know? Because Inazuma was, actually no, maybe 3 years ago. Inazuma was released at month 9. And then Inazuma patches went on for a bit. So probably past 12 months. But even still, like, it was before Sumeru, which was a year later. So between, the first year and the second year was the chasm. And so this was like 4 years ago where we met this guy. And, or we helped the Fatui agent. And now here we are in Snezergrad, home of the Fatui. And we meet him again. That makes the world feel really immersive. Because it's not much, right? It's a few lines of dialogue. And that's the thing, is it doesn't take much to actually do this, right? It doesn't take much time, it doesn't take much effort. It just needs, you to kind of remember all the characters you're introducing. Oh shit, I can't get there easily. Well, I can. Just cheat. Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't naturally latch on. So yeah. So it's that kind of stuff which is so good, right? Because it's like, hey, yeah, we introduced this character, and it was a Fatui agent. Okay, well, when do you think you're going to meet Fatui? Well, presumably when you go back to their home world, when you go back to their country, you might meet them. And yeah, here we are. 4 years later, and there's the Fatui agent we met offhandedly as part of one of the, I think it was the World Quest. I don't think it was an Archon quest at all. When we interacted with him, he was just like one of the quests in that region. And so, like, that's what's so cool about that, right? It's like some offhanded, NPC that appears during one of the quests reappears in his hometown. Same for her, right? She appeared randomly. We kind of had the feeling that she came from the north. She's one of the Fae from the north. And they could easily just not done her, like, had her here, right? But, like, bringing her back, giving her a few extra lines of dialogue, and now it's like, oh my god, like, yeah, I remember her character quest, I remember Linnea's character quest, like, that's so cool. And yeah, like, that's why this game is so good, is because they don't just abandon their characters. They don't be like, oh, well, we had this character, they had their banner, and now we're done forever. Like, now that they're now that they've had their character quest, now that they've been involved in the story, we're just gonna move on to the next character, the next patch, and you'll never see them again. And I know I'm a little bit of a broken record about this, But it's just like the exact opposite of Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves only brings them in. Wuthering Waves only brings them in for the patch and the story, and then basically after that patch is done, they disappear. And I had a chat yesterday with the chatter who was talking about how good Ameth's sacrifice was. And I was like, yeah, sure, the scene was fine, but it was told very poorly, right? Like, we literally just met her that patch. Like, you could argue, well, no, you did see her going into the Hyrule, and I'm like, cool, that's great foreshadowing that they did that, but it's still, we didn't meet her, we didn't know who she was. We were introduced to her in the patch where she sacrificed herself and disappeared. Like, that's insane. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to care for a character that we barely know? You know? Like, sure, they can have all these story beats where it's like, oh, actually, no, she was a girl that you raised, and because of some weird time dilation thing, bullshit, you saved her and rescued her simultaneously, it's because you allowed her to be saved by yourself in the past so that she could help you in the future type shit, which is like, okay, whatever. But anyway, like, so we raised her as a child, and then we disappeared, and then she sacrificed herself to hold back Aleph and lost her body, and then we met her again, and then we go back to our house and realize, oh shit, she's I have these memories. We were basically your parent, We were the one who took care of you as a child. We were the one who saved you. And then it's like, okay, now pilot the machine. Oh, whoops, now the machine, we lost our connection to the machine. Now we have to get reconnected to the machine so that we can join hands with Ameth to defeat Aleph, the Therodian. And we do that. And all of that happens within one patch. All of that. We get introduced to this character. We find out that we were the one who raised them as a child. We find out what, we find out what they did to save the world, like a few years ago when Aleph was trying to break free. We try to help them get into the giant robot. Try to fight Aleph, but then get kicked out and lose our connection. Find a way to get our connection back, and then defeat Aleph, or representation of Aleph, in this big, over the top fight sequence with fighting with Ameth in the giant robot. Cool epic scenes, but it's like, and then when Ameth sacrifices herself, it's sad, right? It's like, oh man, she's a nice girl, right? And we empathize with her for how much suffering she's had to endure. When we left, now she was all alone again. Her sacrifice and now no longer having a body, so now she's even more alone. Because now she can't even interact with people, which she could at least do when we left. She could have at least had friends and interacted with people to stave off loneliness. But once she lost her body, she could no longer do that. And then sacrificing herself once more to keep the cycle going of her being saved so that she can be there in the moments of need, and then being ejected into space, right? So it's like, oh man, it's so sad. We empathize with the character so much. It's so heartrending. Yeah, but how much more would that scene have hit if we had like patches to build this character up, right? If we had interacted with her more than just now, right? So like we met her going into the Hyrule, right? Briefly, when we're going through the warp into the Hyrule. So what would have been cool if we had seen like images of her, like maybe during that, like we would see like illusions of her in random locations as we're going through the Hyrule, right? Like her sitting in class, never interacting with us, right? Just like kind of like a fragment of her memory or something like that, But like to send at the home that, oh well, like it's that girl we saw then, and then maybe in the next patch we actually start interacting with her, right? She realizes that we can see her, and so she starts chatting with us, right? So like basically the introduction shit would have happened in a previous patch, and then And then there could have been a reason why we would have found the home and realized, oh shit, Amith was the girl we raised. We just forgot. And then maybe we could have stewed on a patch of that, right? You know, that could have been it for the patch, just that part. And then so we learned that. And then we could have had, you know, a heart-to-heart and kind of like, you know, dealt with that knowledge, and then maybe started treating her a little better and a little different, and maybe started looking for a way to get her body, right? Her body back. And then, you know, something urgent happens in patch 3, where it's like, oh shit, you know, or in Act 3, where it's like, oh shit, we need to get to the robot quickly. Alepht's about to escape. So then we get Amith to help us and head towards the robot. And then you could have the whole thing. Chris, it's like, oh, cool. Like, we met her. We saw her. We saw figments of her early on. We were introduced to her. We kind of, you know, grew attached to her. You know, she could have, like, chimed in during certain, like, events that happened previously, certain patches before. She could have been, like, chiming in as an unseen ghost, you know, as, like, some sort of sidekick. She gives her little 2 cents and stuff. We could have had more of a relationship to her. We could have grown more attached to her, so that when she does finally sacrifice herself again, it would have meant more. But no, like, we literally just met her that patch. We were literally just introduced to her that patch. Like, and yet you're expecting us to be, like, completely distraught when she leaves. Now, sure, it's sad, right? Like, it does tug at the heartstrings, but again, not nearly as much as if we had actually known her, you know? So again, like, it's just, and that is just quintessential what Weather and Ray's problem is. They just can't develop their characters worth shit. Now, so that's why when they say they're going to rework 1.0, I'm just like, I would have some confidence in them if they didn't constantly fuck up current patches, right? If they weren't constantly fucking up the current ones, then if it was something like, oh, yeah, we've gotten much better since then, like all the things that were a problem in 1.0, none of our storytelling nowadays has that. It's like, no, the problems you had in 1.0 are the same problems you still have now. Your pacing is terrible. You can't connect the events well. You don't build characters properly. Like, it's just, you tell the story poorly. But because the story is at least interesting, you get a pass for a lot of people. People are just like, well, the story points are interesting. It's like, yeah, the story points are interesting. If you take individual scenes, they are really cool scenes, but it's not connected in any meaningful way. It's told in the most shallow way you could possibly tell a story, where there's no depth to any of these characters. They just appear when they need to for the story and then disappear immediately afterwards. Like, the only depth you get is explored in that one story patch, right? We meet Sigurka, and all of her character depth happens as part of that story. And then afterwards, for the most part, she's abandoned, but she does actually, I mean, to be fair, she does appear later and does help us when we're trying to replace the sun, saying, oh, well, my runes might help and stuff. So that was built up. It was like, hey, she's good at runes. But all she did was just pop up and say, yeah, I can help with that. You know, did we really interact with her that much more? Nope. She just kind of was there and say she would help with this one aspect, and that was it. And it was evidence as well in but basically, yeah. So this is their problem. The only character development that ever happens is when the character is on banner. That's the only time their character ever gets developed. They're not introduced earlier. They're not developed earlier. Or maybe they might be introduced, because, like, Augusta was introduced before she was on banner, right? Same for Iuno as well. But, like, they only had a few lines and were offhandedly mentioned afterwards, right? It's like they had a few lines where they were there, so we knew who they were and what their jobs were, but that was it, pretty much. Like, we didn't really know who they were as people, and the only time we really got to know them was when they went on banner, and the story quest involved them heavily because of it. And that's the only character depth they ever really had. Like, there was no other meaningful inclusion. Like, sure, they might have helped us fight later against a Thernodian, but, like, we didn't, like, interact with them that much. They were just kind of there and helping, not really providing any sort of like meaningful.
私の推測が間違っていなければ、
not really any sort of meaningful thing.
別に
Yeah.
休養がある
No
わけじゃ
meaningful
ないわね
development. No interesting. Oh, what have you been doing since since we saw you on Banner? Like, what are you going to do in the future? Like, nope. Just they're just there to shore up the numbers for our big epic fight against the Threnodian, and that's it. Like, so it's just like, yeah, it's very shallow. That's the thing, and that is basically Wuthering Waves in a nutshell. It's very wide but shallow. And I think Genshin has its shallow moments, but there's a lot of depth to a lot of it, right? There's a lot of depth to their world, but there are some there are shallow moments. Like the summer events are supposed to be these little events in general are generally relatively the shallow portions of the thing where it's like, yeah, sure, we have a little fun doing this and that. It might not have any meaningful relation to anything, but there are some times too where it's like, like the first summer events, right? Like the first Golden Apple Archipelago event was the introduction of Alice, and Alice as Klee's mother. Alice was introduced even way back then, even though we only really saw her character model in Nog Cry, like 5 years later. So, they are introducing characters. In the second Golden Apple Archipelago, we got a lot more depth into some characters, right? We had more character depth into Kazuha, Fischl, Jinyan, and Mona. The islands we went to that kind of represented them, each of them, we learned a little bit more about their past. So it's like, this was a summer event, a random little summer event where we dive deeper into that. Hell, the Simulenka summer event, brought back old characters, but also like we got more lore on the witches. We met Chibi Durin, and we actually saved Durin from the book, and that Durin from the book became a playable character later. So it's like, shit, this random summer event, which is usually where they just have a little bit of fun and have this fun little event, actually tied into the main story, because Albedo, I think it was an Archon quest where Albedo was under fire for all the events that were happening with Durin, and that's the patch where he created Durin's body so that he could reappear later in Nod Cry as a playable character.
当ててみて。そう言うと思っていたわ。タルタリア議員を甘く見ているわね。コート評議会。聞いたことくらいはあるでしょ。次の議会では、厳冬計画を延期すべきかどうかについて議論することになっているわ。ええ、何も深く考えことの発端は、隊長カピターノが、そこには彼の部下の今後の配置が全員きっと、あの時あいつはすでに二度と帰ることはない。あの時のタルタリアと全くカピターノは無口で心の内を明かさないから。でもカピターノは私のお茶会に参加する日、時々タルタリアを連れてきていたわ。お茶会の常連のアルレッキーノやロザリーも分かっていたわ。コロンビーノは多分こういうことは分からなかったでしょうから、除外ね。だからリーユへの一件ではカピターノは珍しく激怒していたのよ。私からは話しづらいから。
Oh, interesting. I mean, Capitano does seem the up and up. So that's actually. So is it because he almost wiped out the entire village? I mean, to be fair, wasn't that Zhongli's proposition? It was that they were gonna summon the thing, and Zhongli was just doing this as a test to see if the city would survive without him. So I thought he intended for the city to be under dire peril to see if the people of Liyue could defend against it. So I'm surprised Captain would be so against it, right? Because it's like, well, if this was arranged with the Archon, Like, it'd be one thing if they were like, he was like, oh yeah, just create a little bit of a fuss, and then he tried to wipe out the entire city, right? Then yeah, sure. But Capitano does seem to be against. Maybe he doesn't want the average people to be affected, so he's fine doing all the horrible shit they do, but because it only affects like a small subset of people, right? It's only affecting the Archons, maybe. And I mean, and to be fair, like, it could be that's he only did missions that were more on the up and up, and wasn't really involved in the seedier, more manipulating missions that other people were, right? So maybe the missions he did just didn't affect the common folk as much as others. And he might also disagree with, the missions that other harbingers are doing that are affecting the average people of the various countries. But yeah, he can't control that, maybe.
カピターノはタルタリアはまだ未熟だけど高いポテンシャルをその点だけで言えばあの二人は確かに似ていたか。あいつは自分が離れれば配下の精鋭部隊が一番直接的に恩恵を受けるのは
I was going to try to see the number. He's first, right? I thought the number indicates their strength. So is he number 2? I would assume he's number 2 because he's also Conrian.
人員を山分けすればあいつらの勢力はさらに
Wait, what? I thought... Oh, I see. Oh, I see. They were already highlighted. Financial, blah, blah, and then 5th.
なぜカピターノがピエロに手紙を渡すことにしたの？そう。勢力の均衡を保つために、ピエロはいずれかの執行官のこれまで長い間、タルタリアのバックにはずっと北国銀行がついていたけれど、あいつとパンタローネは根っこから違う価値。さすがはカピターノ。カピターノとの関係を否定して、パンタローネとの友情を維持しながら、プルチネッラこういうそれにこんなものは内部情報でも何でもコート評議会で議会を一度見てみれば勢力間の表立った争い評議会で発言権を持つ者だけが政策を
Well, it's also like
有利な方向へと導く
what she said. Like, she might be like, oh, it doesn't really matter. But the fact is, we do have a positive relationship for the most part with Tartaglia and not as much with the other two. But by telling us this, we're clearly going to side more with them and be more antagonistic towards the other two, right? It's making us wary against the other two. If Rooster or Pantalone, or if Pulsonella or Pantalone come to us to try to proposition a sort of deal, we would know that, hey, these two are fighting against Tartaglia, and any deal we make with them could go against Tartaglia's interest as well. So this is making us more wary of these two, so we won't mindlessly agree to something they might offer without thinking how it might affect Tartaglia. So it's a smart thing to do in general, right? It makes us wary about these two, which will make it easier to balance power.
知っている人で例えましょうか。パンタローネは金融業、私は議会の紛争なんかに興味はないけれど、下には演じ、そして評議会の中央に立つプルチ、あいつは全てに関わっている。何事もあいつを避けては通れないし、本人もあらゆる問題についてみんな現状に満足してないにもかかわらず、各方面の利益が複雑に絡み合ってる上に、一番上には貯金。さて、これだけ話してあげたんだから。
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the siphoning of power away from the people is directly going to impact the people's lives, right? You're making the people's lives worse by giving them less energy to heat their homes. Like, they need it to heat their homes. It is vital for their survival. So, obviously, any sort of penny pinching when it comes to energy usage is going to hit them hard. But if you need energy for the future, so it's like, so you don't want to sacrifice the future for the present. You don't want to make, you don't want to sacrifice the future you need. Oh, look, there's an ocula over there. For the present, but simultaneously, you don't want to sacrifice the present for the future. It's a quite balancing act of sacrificing as little as possible to make sure that the future that you envision is also possible.
価値ある情報を聞きたいなら、私でもよかったはずよ。はあ？何を言い出すの？ありえないから。ちょっと待ちなさい。なんだか分かってきた。立場に気をつけてみたいな言葉よ。まさかあなた、あのね。まあとにかくこれくらいのちょっとした手助け。
傀儡様。
なーに？今は休憩時間よ。
休憩中のところお邪魔してしまい申し訳ございません。は
あ、緊急また。
スベトロレドフカの設備に至急メンテナンスが必要なのです。大量1台の支柱が折れて落下し、眠っていた魔獣を目覚めさせてしまいました。多くの砕氷作業員、ちょうど現場付近にいたオデットの正体がすでに救助活動を
仕方ないわ。お茶会はあら、それ本気で言ってるの？礼には礼をってことね。パイモンの方は、あなたは経験豊富で実力もじゃあ行きましょう。あなたは今聞いた通りよ。もしパイモンに何か。
承知しました。
Okay, that's going to be it for now. I'm going to go ahead and call it. But I'll be back on later today to do something. I don't know what that something will be. I might play Final Fantasy. Grind a little bit there. So I might play Final Fantasy. I still need to do my Occult Crescent grind. I have another EX run tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll get a person who can call the fight well. I have been getting really unlucky with people, with joining parties of people who don't actually know the fight and are trying to call it, and end up just causing all sorts of problems. So, I hope that tomorrow's person is not terrible and actually knows how to call the fight. We'll see, obviously. But yeah, so I might grind a little bit. I do need I'm still at Mastery level 19, but I am really close to getting Mastery level 20 because my summoner is almost leveled. And it would be nice. Actually, I'm going to be a tank anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't necessarily need a DPS. But yeah, so anyway, I will be, actually this will be interesting because I'll be melee. I'm usually not melee. I've always gone in as a black mage before, so I've always been a caster. So it'll be interesting to try these fights as melee. Although, I mean, like, the second boss is pretty melee-y anyway. But anyway, yeah, so I might pop into that. I might do this more? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do... Because I'll probably play more of this tomorrow in the morning before that. And definitely more on Sunday. I think on Sunday... I think Saturday and Sunday I'll probably focus on the main story and see how far it goes. And then kind of work on the side quests while not my treadmill. We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, that is kind of my general plan. See if I can finish the story over the weekend. The main Archon quest. Maybe not, because I think each Archon quest takes about 2 to 3 hours. And I'm still on Act 1. I'm pretty sure there's 2 acts released in this patch. And so even if this, and like I probably only put in like maybe an hour and a half into the patch. So like I still maybe only halfway done of Act 1, and then there's Act 2. So I might be able to finish Act 1 tomorrow, but it's not likely I'm going to finish Act 2. So I don't know. Like generally I kind of want to make sure I don't generally I want to make sure I don't I don't want to burn through it off treadmill too much, because then I might run out of things to do on my treadmill. It's not like the worst though, because there's always, if I do actually do too much, I do have Final Fantasy. I could pop into Final Fantasy, run queues. I have my weekly alliance raid I need to run for the gear. I have Frontline I should be running more frequently, but I just keep not really forgetting, but just choosing not to do it. Well, kind of forgetting too, but then also just choosing not to do it. So it would be good if I could. So I always have that as a backup, where it's like, and I have the Hildebrand quest that I've intentionally not done, just in case, like in case I burn through too much of the shit off off my treadmill and don't have any stuff to do on my treadmill. I could always, if I run out of stuff, go and do Hildebrand's quest line in Final Fantasy. Complete that, because I do want the mount from that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it, but thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.